Hi everybody, so it's Saturday evening, we're back from holiday and I've gone for a bit of comfort food, a bit of a throwback to my childhood actually for dinner tonight. Something I've always called fish finger pie. Now, it came from the conversation I had with my mum before I went on holiday about the sorts of things she used to make for us when we were kids. There were 5 of us in our family, and so now as an adult and running a household with a budget and everything, I realise that a lot of what she made, although it was really tasty, it was eking things out and making things go as far as possible. Now, my mum, as a career, was a chef, so she went to catering school, and that's what she did for a job. But my dad was a farm boy and really liked meat and potatoes and 2 veg. He didn't like anything, as he called, fancy food. So at home we had fairly simple food, but this was something she used to make that we used to always love. And now I know that to feed 5 of us, a packet of fish fingers would not go, because that would be 2 fish fingers each, and that just wouldn't be enough for most people. And so she used to make this fish finger pie, and basically it was baked beans with cooked fish fingers on top, grated cheddar, grated mashed potato, and grated cheese. So a bit like a shepherd's pie, but with fish fingers. So you just cook the fish fingers through, boil some potatoes and mash them. Now I have got in my mixture with the beans, I've also got some Worcestershire sauce, some chopped red peppers and a little bit of mushroom. And then we've got you can see there, fish fingers have just been chopped and placed on top of the beans, and then topped with mashed potato, cheddar cheese, and just put under the grill for a few minutes. So the potatoes cook while the fish fingers are cooking. Everything's all cooked, and all you then do is put it under the grill just to melt the cheese. So that is mine. Now Caleb doesn't like baked beans, so he's just got fish fingers with mash, a little bit of cheese on, and sweet corn. I've got some more sweet corn there to go onto my plate. And then if I show you over here, this is the actual pie as it looks. You can see the layers there. Quite a bit of potato. Now my dad grew all of his own vegetables and salad products in the garden, so we never had to buy vegetables, but so the meat was really the main part of the grocery bill for my mum. We didn't use a lot of processed foods back then. We'd always have baked beans and things like ketchup and stuff like that, and then bread, and then she would make cakes every week. She made cakes, but we'd have biscuits and things like that. So that was really the main part of the grocery shop for us. And we had a roast dinner every Sunday, and she would always use the rest of the meat to make something depending on how much was left over for the Monday dinner. And it just was a different time, I think, in terms of how people used to think quite creatively, and I try to tap into some of that whenever I can. But talking to Mum before we went away, and she mentioned this fish finger pie, and it reminded me of it, and I decided I wanted to make it when we got back from holiday. So first night back, bit of comfort, nostalgia food, kind of nursery food I think they call it sometimes, so ideal for kids, and maybe something you'd like to give a try in your family. Hi everybody, so it's Sunday evening, and tonight I've got a fairly simple pot roast chicken, 1 pot. This casserole, this big enamel casserole, is one that I can use on the stovetop as well. And so I started out with just a little bit of oil and butter in the bottom of it, heated that on our stovetop here. It has one of the long rings down the middle, so I heated it on there, and then browned the chicken, which I'd already seasoned. Just browned it on both sides for about 5 minutes each side, and then righted up the chicken, took it out, added into the cavity, I don't know if you can see in there, a lemon, a bay leaf, and the sprig of thyme. And then in the pan I put a sliced up chorizo ring. So this is one of the long kind of curly chorizos. I sliced it into chunks and put that in there. Once it started to release its kind of red oil, I added in a bag of new potatoes, or baby potatoes, which I halved, and some I quartered that were a little bit bigger, and a few whole cloves of garlic, you can see there. Stirred that all around, made a little nest in the middle, and popped the chicken back in, put the cover on, and I cooked it for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. You see the chicken is completely falling apart here, and we're just going to have that with some simple steamed vegetables for our first Sunday night dinner back home. It's the 1st of September, it's the start of autumn officially, it's back to school week, so some real comfort home style food. When I put it in the oven, I did put a splash, while the chorizo was cooking, I did put a splash of sherry in it, and then I also put about 150 to 200 mils of chicken broth or chicken stock in the pan as well. So the potatoes have been cooked by absorbing a lot of that liquid as they've cooked. So they're really soft and tender rather than like crispy roast potatoes. So yep, that's our Sunday night supper. Hi everybody, it's Monday evening, first day back at work after holiday today, and I've just done a simple kind of Mediterranean style roasted fish with tomatoes, potatoes. There were also some lemon chunks and a chopped onion in the pan. So essentially put the potatoes, a sliced onion, some oregano and some olive oil, kind of mix that all together, put that in the oven, about 180 fan, so about 200 regular. I let it cook for about 15 minutes, gave it a good shake up and stir, and then to cook for another 15 minutes. Then I added some halved baby plum tomatoes, a half a lemon, which I just cut into kind of wedges, added that in, and then I put some frozen fish fillets on the top. These are bassa fillets, so it's nice white firm fish. Just a little knob of butter on the top of each piece of fish and a little sprinkling of seasoning, and then roasted it again for about another 20 minutes. Was going to have it with salad, but the lettuce, the little gem lettuce that I bought at the weekend, I bought it Saturday, it's Monday today, it's got a date of Wednesday or Thursday on it, and it just didn't look good. The leaves of the lettuce were quite brown, so it just didn't look appetizing. So we've just heated up a tin of sweet corn to have some extra veggie on the side there. So a simple supper for a Monday night and getting us back into routine. Hi everybody, so it's Wednesday evening and tonight we've got a take on a pasta bake. So I've made a bolognese sauce sort of with onion, some pork mince, some garlic, 2 cans of chopped tomatoes, about 300 mils of chicken stock, and then I stirred through about a tablespoon, a full tablespoon of Chipotle paste, which is a chili style paste. It's slightly sweet and smoky. Chipotle is a Mexican style flavour, and you can buy the little jars of Chipotle paste in most supermarkets these days. So I stirred through some of that to give it a slightly different flavour profile. Then I cooked up some larger shell pasta. This is not quite the size for kind of stuffed shells, although you could do that with this size, but it's bigger than the small shells, little shells of pasta. So I cooked those, and then I took a tub of mascarpone cheese, a little bit of the pasta water, and I just melted or softened down the mascarpone in a little bit in a pan over a low heat. I can't speak tonight. Over a low heat, just till it started to kind of soften down and become quite saucy. And then I stirred through a couple of good handfuls of cheddar cheese. I mixed a little bit of black pepper. I mixed that through the shells, and then I put the meat sauce on the bottom, so the pork mince mixture. I topped it with the cheese covered shells, and then I sprinkled a little bit of grated cheddar and a little bit of grated parmesan over the top, and popped that in the oven for about 20 minutes, 200 degrees, just until the cheese melted and the top just started to go just a little bit crispy. And then we're having that with some of this kind of pizza style garlic bread, so it's just pizza base with garlic and butter on it. So a pasta bake, a midweek pasta bake with a slight variation using the Chipotle seasoning rather than the traditional Italian. So it's Thursday evening and we've gone back to our old favourite Brinner tonight. So I've got some bacon, chipolata sausage, 2 dry fried eggs, some seasoned potatoes that are cooked in the active fryer, and some baked beans. Caleb's got rather a strange mix. So this is an egg and bacon sandwich. So he's got 2 pieces of egg and bacon sandwich, plus an extra piece of bacon, a sausage and an extra egg with some ketchup. And then Tony's got cheese omelette, and he'll be eating, I'm sure, the rest of the potatoes, bacon, sausages and baked beans to go with his. So Thursday night, Brinner. Hi everybody, so it is Friday evening and it feels proper autumny out there tonight. There's been rain, it's quite cool. Back to school, back to sports, and autumn is here apparently. So it is supposed to, I think, get nice again next week, but for now it feels quite autumnal. So for that I've made a variation on a pot pie theme. So we've got some steamed vegetables, some buttered parsley potatoes, and then I've used a package of mince which I've cooked with an onion, some chopped streaky bacon, some chestnut mushrooms sliced up small, and then once that was all kind of browned and cooked through, I added in a couple of spoonfuls of plain flour, cooked that together for about a minute or two, and then added 400 mils of chicken stock, bubbled it all together until thickened up a little bit. I put in some fresh thyme leaves as well and a little bit of pepper. I didn't add salt because I was using the stock. And then I used a ready-made puff pastry crust. So I put it into a pie dish, put puff pastry crust on the top and cooked it for about 25 minutes in the oven at about 200 degrees. So that is Caleb's portion. That is my portion. You can see the filling there with the mushroom, bacon, onion and mince. I was going to do some gravy with it, but I decided against it. I might still make a little bit of gravy to put over it. But yeah, really warming comfort food for quite a chilly, rainy Friday evening. I'll actually show you over here. There's the rest of the pie in the pie dish. There, so you can see it's just a puff pastry top, which has browned up nicely, and then all the filling in the middle. Yeah, really looking forward to this. First proper autumny food we've had. So we'll enjoy this on a Friday night. Hi everybody, so for Saturday night dinner we're having something I just call an Italian hot dish. So when I lived in the States, a really common thing in the States is something called a potluck, where everybody just brings along a plate or a dish of food and you just all get together and eat, and not one person has had to be responsible for cooking. So it happens a lot in like church groups or family get-togethers. We used to have a potluck at my work once a month, and anybody that wanted to join in just had to bring a plate of or a dish or some kind of food along. Some people would just, go to the store on their way in and grab, some fried chicken or some, fresh bread or something like that. And other people would take the time to make something. And then also if you get together to watch like a sporting event or, something like that, there's often a potluck involved. So it's a really common practice in the US, and something I wish we'd do more of here, because it really is a lot of fun. You get to try a lot of different foods. But one girl in our office her grandparents had come to the US from Italy. And so she was a second generation Italian American. Now anybody who knows an Italian will know they love to eat, and the Italian Americans actually love to eat more than the European Italians. So she would always bring something delicious with a pasta base to it. And whenever anybody asked her what it was always, it's just an Italian hot dish. So essentially whenever I make anything pasta based that is not, lasagna or fettuccine or spaghetti and meatballs or that sort of thing, I often call it an Italian hot dish because that's what she would have done. So it's a bit of a throwback to her. So anyway, this is just some cooked shell pasta. So it's you can see there the small shells. Just cooked that up in boiling water, put it into the bottom of the casserole dish, lightly greased. I actually put a little fry light in the bottom of it just to stop it from sticking. Then I made a meat sauce, and this is made with turkey mince. It's got some chopped red pepper, you can see there, a chopped onion and a few sliced mushrooms, like 2 or 3 mushrooms sliced. Cooked that all together for about 5 or 6 minutes until it was kind of starting, the meat was browned and the veggies were starting to soften. Then I added in some onion powder, garlic powder, oregano and a sprinkle of black pepper, along with a carton of passata. I mixed that all together, let the whole lot cook for about 10 minutes in the skillet. Then I poured that over the top of the pasta in the casserole dish, topped it with a combination of a couple more mushrooms sliced just over the top, not cooked, just sliced on the top, and then a handful of mozzarella, grated mozzarella, and a sprinkling of Parmesan, and then covered it with some tin foil, baked it in the oven for about half an hour. Took off the tin foil, just a little bit more cheese, a little bit more each of mozzarella and Parmesan over the top, back in the oven for 10 minutes. And it's as simple as that. So it is like a pasta bake, except it's layered. So the pasta is on the bottom and the meat sauce is on the top. But really, really delicious. And as I say, it doesn't really have a name. It's just an Italian hot dish. And we're going to have, there's lots of veggies in it, so we're going to have it with just some garlic bread slices this evening. But that's our Saturday supper, an Italian hot dish with garlic bread. So Caleb chose to come to Nando's for his pre-birthday dinner. Caleb, what are you having?
I'm having 5 chicken wings.
Yep.
With plainish.
Plainish?
It's called plainish.
And what have you got over there?
Peri seasoning one.
Okay.
Five chicken wings.
Yep.
Over here I've got corn on the cob, some butter,
Yep.
and some chips,
Ah, okay.
and some ketchup to dip it in.
Okay. Daddy, what have you got?
A whole chicken and chips.
A whole chicken for Daddy.
Hot.
And I've got the pita. It's got chicken thighs in it with lettuce and relish and some halloumi. And then I've got some chips and some coleslaw. So that's our pre-birthday dinner for Caleb. It's his choice, and we're at Nando's.